Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I'm with Adam Snyder. And Adam, please introduce yourself for people who don't know you. I've been following you on social media, looking at your content, and I thought it's all really great and really unique kind of for my podcast. So you're not like a martial arts school business owner, but you help a lot of the clients that martial arts school owners will have. So tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about your background.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matthew. I'm excited to be here. My name's Adam. I'm the owner of the Fight Science Collective. We are a sports performance company that works exclusively with martial artists. So our philosophy is everything that you need off the mat to dominate when you're on the mats or you're in the cage. This is strength and conditioning, nutrition, recovery, and mindset. This all got started. I actually started training martial arts when I was 5 years old. I started with kickboxing. A few years later, we added jujitsu into the mix, and I just got hooked. I wasn't very talented. I'm not very a naturally athletic human being. So I got my ass beat quite often when I was on the mats, but I just loved it. I competed pretty much immediately and lost every tournament I ever did until I was 17. And then puberty hit and I started winning a little bit. But I was brought up on a very, like I think a lot of martial artists are, brought up on an old school mentality of no days off, train hard every single day, just push through the pain. And so when I was a little bit older, like my late teens, early 20s, I wanted to fight and I was doing everything to build cardio and prepare for fighters that you were supposed to do, right? Like I was going on runs every day, doing these really intense hit circuits, leaving it all on the mat. And I was training really hard, but I was burned out all the time. I was dealing with just these nagging injuries constantly. And I was losing sparring rounds to guys that I knew I was better than, but I just couldn't keep up because I was burned out. So it was definitely really frustrating. And around that time, I started going to school for exercise science, where I learned about the science of training and I learned about data driven training and I learned about heart rate based conditioning. And I learned that every elite athlete on the planet has science backed strength and conditioning, nutrition, recovery, mindset training, but most martial artists don't. And so that's where it kind of clicked. And around that time was 2015 through 2019. So there's very little strength and conditioning knowledge on fight sports now, but back then there was even less. So it was a lot of self-discovery and experimentation and investing in courses and coaches and mentors and trial and error. And eventually through the years of interning with strength and conditioning schools and departments and trying it on my own and fighting and competing and working with clients, we cracked the code to sports performance for martial arts. We call it our Fight Science operating system. And that's what the Fight Science collective is all about, man, helping martial artists reach their greatest potential on and off the mat.
Cool. So besides, I guess, having experience fighting, like in terms of credibility, why should people listen to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I have my degree in exercise science. That's what my background is. And I'm also a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So it's quite literally a lifetime of experience that goes into what we do. I don't think there's another coach on the planet that has zero memories of not training martial arts on top of an elite level of training in the sports science world. In the last 5 years, we've worked with over 500 athletes of all levels, from guys in the UFC like Shane Burgos to hobbyists that just want to be able to protect their family. We've been located in over 17 different countries through what we've done. So this is all I've done. It's all I ever will do. Well, you never know that. Who knows what life is going to throw at you. Right now, that's the plan. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's all I've done for over 2 decades.
So how is, I guess, fight science or I guess recovery in martial arts different than, let's say, recovery if you're a football player or a basketball player? How's it different with fight science with that sport specifically versus other ones?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the biggest difference is pretty much every other sport has seasons, right? So, like football, for example, when they start playing like late summer, early fall, and then they're ending their season this weekend. Go Birds! I'm from
Yeah.
Philadelphia, so I think you're from Philly
Yeah, me
too, right?
too. Yes, I
Yeah,
love that. All right, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, go
yeah. So
Birds.
Go
I'm
Birds!
flying home to Philly to watch the Super, not to watch
Really?
with my friends. I don't live in Philly anymore, but I bought a flight so I could be with like my hometown friends to watch it, and so I could climb some poles after the game when we win. So
I was actually in the city in 2018 when they won because I went to school at Temple,
Okay.
and
Yeah, me
I
too,
was in the
actually. I
city.
graduated Temple also.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Very nice. Well, schools, sports rather, they have seasons. So
Right.
it's a little bit easier, not taking away from the intensity of the sport, especially like a sport like football or even hockey. Like the physical demands are very high. But we know, okay, like this is the season that we're in. And then when we're in the off season, we can pull back, build new skills, focus on recovery. We know when all the games are. Like there's a very clear schedule. So it becomes much easier to create a plan. It's called periodization, right? Like when you create a science backed, thought out approach to training and nutrition and have a plan, you're periodizing that plan. You can break your training into phases with different goals. And some of those phases prioritize recovery. So when there's constants, we know when we're competing, we know when we have games, we know when we're not playing. It's much easier to prioritize recovery. In combat sports, this is all out the window, especially like the lower level you are in the sport, the less predictability there becomes. There's no season. You are on all year. And you could fight on a drop of a dime. You don't know when a fight's going to come up. You could have a fight, you could prepare for 8 weeks, and then your opponent pulls out and you get a new opponent, or you don't get any opponent, right? So there's a lot more variability that comes into just the competition schedule of a martial artist. So it becomes much more challenging to periodize the program. And so you have to be creative and flexible and fluid and really understand your athletes and really understand their sport in order to be able to prescribe the best training to help them get the best results while also minimizing injury, minimizing fatigue, and keeping their recovery high no matter what comes at them throughout the year.
So I guess let's start with recovery, and I think we could fit. I think we could fill in a couple different topics like fitness, nutrition, sleep, all that stuff. But let's start
Mm-hmm.
with recovery, and let's start not recovery with like let's say an athletic young 20-year-old, but let's say you're 30s or 40s, maybe you fight for fun, or maybe like you don't even fight, but you just train often, right? And you want to train your best. Besides maybe just getting good sleep, I'm sure good sleep is part of that, so we can talk about that too. But what do you recommend or for recovery for those types of people?
Yeah, that's a great question. And in our fight science operating system, so our entire philosophy for training martial artists, it's broken up into four codes. And the third code in the operating system is our recovery code, because it is so important to prioritize recovery. Because if you don't recover, you can have the best training in the world, you can have the most skill in the world, best coaches, but if you're recovering like garbage, you're not going to be able to perform. So whether it is an elite young guy that is trying to be a UFC champion, or a guy in their 30s or 40s that is trying to be a champion for their family, right? Like our approach to recovery is more or less the same. I like to think about it like a pyramid, okay? Where the most important things, the highest priorities for recovery, are at the bottom of the pyramid, and the least important things, or the things that have the minimal effect, are at the top of the pyramid. So when most guys think like, oh, I'm prioritizing recovery, like what is it that they usually do?
Yeah, so I would say take days off.
Mm-hmm,
I would say, or maybe afternoons off.
mm-hmm,
I would say, I guess, focus on getting 7, 8 hours of sleep is what I'd assume. Maybe stretching,
mm-hmm,
or working on flexibility or mobility. That's what I would assume. What do
mm-hmm.
people usually do? I guess what do people usually get wrong about recovery?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those things are good points. Like the sleep and the days off are 100% the highest priorities that people should be doing. Most people are, well, I'm taking cold plunges, like I'm hopping in the cold bath. Oh, I foam rolled a little bit today. Oh, I sat in the
Right.
sauna.
Okay.
I got a
Yeah.
massage, right? And those things are nice, but they're at the top of the pyramid. They're kind of like the sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone, where your sleep is at the bottom, and that's the most important thing. I don't think people realize how important sleep is. Sleep is literally like a legal performance enhancer. So our athletes on the Fight Science Collective, we have them wear trackers, whether it's something like a Whoop or a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. It all links to the Fight Science app, so we can monitor their sleep and monitor their sleep quality and help them create better habits in their sleep, and also adjust their training that prioritizes their recovery. once sleep is good, the next level up on the pyramid is your nutrition, right? You have to make sure that you're eating the right way. And a lot of athletes, a lot of martial artists think, well, I'm eating healthy, I'm eating clean. But eating clean is very different than eating for performance or eating for sport or eating for recovery. So a lot of guys will do like, well, I got my brown rice and my chicken and my broccoli, or, I eat no carbs, or like I eat keto, like, and they're not really fueling themselves for success. So we help, that's the nutrition code side of things and the Fight Science operating system, but we help the athletes figure out what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. We give them recipes and grocery lists, so they're educated and actually fueling themselves. It's crazy. Our guys eat more food than they ever had in their entire careers and make weight easier than they ever had in their entire careers, because they're fueling themselves properly. Then the next level up on the pyramid is your training, right? How are you structuring your training? We talked earlier about no days off. It's a very common thought process for a lot of martial artists. A lot of martial artists, especially fighters, are anxiety driven, right? My opponent's working harder than me. I'm slacking. If I don't kill myself, I'm not giving it my all. And this is great for mindset to a degree, but then it leads to injury and burnout. To me, it takes more confidence and it takes more belief in self to have strategic off days, to have high, low, and medium days throughout the week. I was actually just watching a video about Justin Gaethje's training last night, and he was talking about how his coach is talking about how weeks 4 and week 7 are light weeks where they still train, but they're not doing anything crazy, not doing anything intense. They're letting their body heal. And this approach, this periodization to training, it doesn't exist in a lot of guys' work. And then once you have those different layers, the sleep, the nutrition, the training, this is your cone and this is your ice cream. Now you can put the sprinkles on top. You can add in the cold plunges. You can add in the saunas, the foam rolling, the stim, all of the auxiliary things that make you feel good. But if all you're doing is those little easy, like low hanging fruits, then you're not really prioritizing your recovery the right way, and it will lead to long-term injury or burnout that will take you off the mats.
So then what do people get wrong about their nutrition when it comes to eating clean versus eating for performance?
Yeah, no, I love that question. I think, especially today, like the fitness industry, we demonize so many things in the fitness industry, and there's a lot of fear mongering that has athletes focusing on the wrong things. Like, I can't tell you how many times I open Instagram. I don't spend that much time on Instagram. I actually hate Instagram. I'm only on it
Okay.
because it's where my business is.
Yeah,
But
you
I
have
can't
to.
tell you. Say that again.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have to do it, right?
Yeah, it's business media. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's business media. But I can't tell you how many times I open and it's like red dye this, seed oil that, like ketogenic, like cut your carbs, like all this bullshit that in the grand scheme of life doesn't have that much of an impact on your health or on your performance. So guys just and girls just get focused on the wrong things, where understanding what do proteins do, what do carbs do, what do fats do, what even is a calorie, right? How many calories do I need to maintain weight, gain weight, lose weight, right? What are micronutrients, what are vitamins and minerals? Like educating, understanding what we're eating and why we're eating it, like being really intentional rather than just being like, oh, cool, like Gary Brecka talked about that on Instagram, so now I'm going to cut everything out of my life and just drink hydrogen water. Like, it just, it does anyway. It's just spreading the wrong information to guys, and it gets them very confused. So understanding what nutrients do and why nutrients do it, and then having the right timing. I think nutrient timing is huge for athletes. Huge for athletes. Like, I know a lot of guys that will cut carbs pretty early into camp to make weight, but then their performance trashes because carbs are your body's primary energy source. So, like, I have a pro fighter, David Macias. He has a pro fight this weekend, and he's cutting down to 145 for the first time ever, and he's basically been around 160 the whole camp. And we're not cutting carbs until tomorrow, and his weigh-ins are on Friday. He needs that energy. He needs that fuel. Where most guys, even David, like before he was working with us, he would have cut carbs at the beginning of camp and just been burned out and injured all the time and thought it was normal because what he has to do. So educating guys and getting them to see that, like, no, you need to eat more food because this is how you fuel your body. This is the gas that's going in the engine, is a really big key to getting the most out of their performance and prolonging their longevity in the sport.
What about a guy who's a martial arts school owner, trains a couple days a week? Maybe he's on his feet a lot. He's also teaching a lot. Maybe he's
Mm-hmm.
not, he or she maybe isn't like fighting, but they're really active, right? Like, what could they do for their nutrition or for their recovery so that they don't feel burned out at the end of the week of teaching and maybe training with their team?
Yeah, that's another great question. Great questions, Matthew. And it's a lot of people don't know this, but before I owned the Fight Science Collective, my goal was actually to be a martial arts gym owner. So I started working in martial arts. So I started teaching and learning how to teach in the mats when I was 12. And then from the time I was 18 to 24, I was teaching classes and managing a martial arts gym and doing the entire sales process and basically running a pretty successful martial arts school, doing like 80K a month for a couple years before transitioning into this. So I actually lived that lifestyle and was
Okay. Was that
around
in Philly?
in Philly. Yeah.
Okay. Which one was it?
So it was the Tiger Schulman's in the Colmar area. So in the suburbs, like
Okay. Cool.
yeah, yeah. So that's where we were located. We did that for a while. It's still over there. I just live in Florida now.
Yeah. Okay.
And do
Where
this.
in Florida are you at now?
Tampa.
Tampa. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I was
yeah.
at Tampa last week at a like a martial arts like software convention for Spark, which is like they do software for martial arts schools. So I
Well,
was just there. I wish I would have known about that for before. Or I wish I would have known about where you were before then. I live
yeah.
actually in Fort Lauderdale, so not too
Oh,
far,
okay.
but also
Not
in
too
Florida,
far, just a
Philly,
couple
border,
of.
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So okay, so you were running that life, and I
Hmm.
think for people who run martial arts schools, I remember specifically. So I don't run the day to day so much anymore. But I remember for a long time, one of the things I would struggle with is like eating really late at night because like you
Hmm.
get home from classes, it's 9:30, maybe 8:30, 9:30, it's late, and then you eat late, and then like if I eat close to bedtime or within like an hour or so, I just don't sleep as well. My
Hmm.
stomach is in distress. So let's talk about, since you live that lifestyle. I mean, you're younger when you did it, right? So it's a little bit
Hmm.
easier. But how can someone, I guess, manage their nutrition? Or what would you recommend for a martial arts school owner in that position?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, everyone's a little bit different, and as you age, your body changes as well. Like, I'm able to eat pretty late, and it doesn't really impact me that much, but I know people that it does impact. So knowing what your preferences are is a really important thing. That's the first step. Knowing what your goals are is the second step. Like, do you want to put on
Right.
muscle? Do you just want to maintain? Do you just want to feel good? Do you just want to be healthy? And then having a plan, like being prepared, especially as a martial arts gym owner, like chances are you're getting to your school maybe around 3, maybe around 4, maybe even a little bit later, and then you're in go mode until 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night between trials and teaching classes and having renewal meetings and talking to parents and talking to students. It's go, 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 go. So having blocks that are dedicated to eating are really important. Like if you have a break between two classes or a break between a meeting and a class, okay, this is when I'm going to eat, and you are like dedicated and committed to making that a time to eat. So if you have one or two meals throughout the day, you can get them in. Relying on snacks and liquids, right? Things that you can throw down pretty quick to get some calories in is going to be really helpful as well. Prioritizing your calories, maybe you get more in the morning or the afternoon, so at least you have a bulk of your fuel already in your system, then you have something to hold you over throughout the day, and then maybe you have a light meal or like a smoothie or like a little snack that's not going to crush your stomach at night. So understanding your schedule is really important, being committed to it, understanding your goals, and then having a plan are going to be the biggest things to help you get through. I don't want to say get through, to really dominate and own the day as a gym owner.
Yeah, I think as a martial arts school owner, you kind of get thrown to whatever fires you got to put out
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, right? And it's
Yeah.
just you could be more reactive no matter how seasoned you are. Like you just gotta you got to eat when you can. I remember plenty of times where I get busy and I don't eat literally the entire day, and I'll be like 9 p.m. and I feel like I want to die. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I've experimented with fasting too. Like I've done intermittent fasting for the most part for probably 4 or 5 years, and not because I think it's going to make me live forever, but because it's just like easier in my lifestyle. Like I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to just have like 1 or 2 meals a day as opposed to like snacking or small. It's just easier, more convenient. I've experimented with 1 meal a day. I've done like a 50+ hour fast one time. So I've done it like a bunch of times, but I feel like it's always experimental and you always have
Mm-hmm.
to track how you feel. Like I always recommend for people to, if they've never done it, track their calories, even if it's only for a month, even if they never want to do it ever again because it's not maybe sustainable for them. They don't care. Just do it for a month because A, it's a giant pain in the ass, but B, like you'll learn what you actually eat, how many calories are in each thing. When you do that, people basically eat the same things over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not like you eat something brand new all the time. Then at least, like, I know I could look at a piece of chicken and tell you about how many calories are in it and about how many grams of protein or fat, right? Like, and you get to that by tracking it. So even if you don't plan on doing it forever, I always recommend people download, MyFitnessPal or Macro Factor or one of those other whatever ones people use. I'm sure you
The
can
Fight
find free
Science
ones.
app has a macro tracker built into it. Yeah.
Fight Science app, right? Like, yeah. So use something to track it. That way, like what you're actually eating. So let's say I want like good energy throughout the day. I want to be able to teach and not feel burned out at the end of the day
Mm-hmm.
as a martial arts school owner. Am I eating carbs like for lunch to kind of throw me through dinner? Am I doing low carb throughout the day? I just care maybe about like energy and maybe
Yeah.
not gaining weight, like maintaining.
Yeah, just maintaining. So that's a great question. Knowing maintenance calories is going to be the first step, and then every every person is different, right? So some people feel really good on high carb, some people feel really good on high fat, some people feel good on a balance. I personally will feel trashed without carbs. Like I need carbs in my life, my body. And most people's bodies prefer carbs. It's a minority of people that are like fat adapted or can perform better on a low carb diet. So understanding that is the first step, and then timing your nutrients accordingly. Like if you're about to have like a stent where you're teaching consistently for a couple hours, or you're not going to have the opportunity for to eat for a while, then I would recommend some more nutrient dense foods. So like if we're talking carbs, we're going to want more complex carbs. Maybe you choose like a brown rice over a white rice because that's going to be in your stomach a little bit longer. It's going to take a little bit longer to digest. Those nutrients are gonna have like a slow drip, versus where if you get like a white rice or like a pasta or like a bread, that's a simpler carb. It's gonna digest pretty quick. That sugar is gonna hit your system, and then you're gonna get hungry again, or you're gonna feel a dip in energy. So just just knowing, okay, maybe I'm not going to eat for a while, so I need a lot of protein. Like, let's get a high protein meal in. Let's get some complex carbs in. Let's load on some good fats, and let's give some nutrient dense foods to keep me full, to keep me satiated, but then also provide the energy that's needed to teach throughout the day. Obviously there's a bit of just like mental toughness that comes through where you're teaching, like if you don't have an assistant instructor or you don't have a head instructor that can teach all of your classes for you, and you're running the show and you're doing everything, like you're doing the sales and you're talking to the parents and you're teaching all the classes, and there is a degree of like sprint and toughness that comes, like you're making a sacrifice for your business, and you need to get your business to a point where you can start delegating and bringing on team as quickly as possible to open up some time, because it's not sustainable to do everything yourself, you know.
Yeah, so like let's say I'm just trying to think back to when I'm operating day to day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm in the school. I would get there usually around I'd work in the morning, have usually a little break during the middle around lunchtime, and then start work again around like 2 or 3, like prepare for classes, teach classes, manage all that stuff till about 8:39, clean and head home. So let's say I'm at the school and I want to have some calorie dense or energy giving snacks that I could have in the school that I can just grab and eat quickly. Because a lot of times I didn't have time to cook, or I didn't have time to prepare. And there was a microwave, right? Maybe some schools have a microwave or like a mini fridge or something. Let's pretend they don't. I just want to like grab some stuff. Like, what are some good healthy snacks I can do to just grab before classes so I feel good and energized the rest of the day?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, just snacking isn't really going to energize you throughout the day. Um, I know that the lifestyle of a martial arts gym owner is a busy lifestyle, but to say that there's no time to plan, I disagree. Like, if you're on a Wednesday and you don't have food and you're in the mix of it, yeah, then you don't have time to plan. But like, you got to be smart about how you look ahead at your week and how you keep your calendar and how you plan. And just like you plan to teach classes, you have to plan to grocery shop and bring your meals throughout the week. And if you don't have a microwave, eat a cold meal. Like, that's just what it is. Or buy a microwave. Like, they're not that expensive.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would say. Like, if you're looking for snacks that are going to keep you fueled and energized throughout the day, you're not going to find snacks that are going to keep you fueled and energized throughout the day. You have things that will like help and like curb your hunger. Like, fruits can be great. Like, grab a banana and a yogurt, or like throw a protein bar in there, or like maybe like some whey protein and throw it down. Jerky is great. Like, you want to look for like high protein snacks. You want to probably lower sugar is going to be good. Fiber is going to be great. Like, fiber and protein are very satiating, which means they keep you full. So at the very least, like, if you eat a lot of protein, you eat a lot of fiber, you won't feel hungry. But I don't, it's a cliche. It's not about having time. It's about making time. And I think that's kind of like an elitist asshole response sometimes, because
Mhm.
most people say that and don't teach you how to actually make time. Part of, like, at the Fight Science Collective, in week 2, when athletes join our program, we have video trainings on lifestyle and just different, like, living the fighter lifestyle. And in week 2, we have creating a performance lifestyle. And it's where we teach our athletes how to manage their lives like an elite CEO manages their business, how to create a schedule, how to prioritize the things that matter most. So if nutrition, which, as a martial arts gym owner, as someone that is preaching movement and fitness and living a healthy lifestyle, you should be practicing what you preach, right? So nutrition should probably be a pretty high priority in your life. And which means if you're asking your students, who are also probably very, very busy between families and work and lives and then coming to train, like they're probably struggling to get food in too. So it's almost your duty as a martial arts gym owner to live the lifestyle and make the time to meal prep and plan, so you can lead by example, rather than just asking students one thing and then doing another thing. And then it's going to make your business better anyway, because people resonate with that. People, whether they know it or not, they can feel that alignment. So if you're living your life in alignment with the type of students that you want to have, then you're going to attract more of those students. So it's not just a thing about eating and a selfish thing, but you're going to be able to help your students better. Your business is going to grow better because you're actually living the lifestyle of someone that's doing it, rather than just running around with a chicken with its head cut off, which is what it feels like a lot of the time. Like, it's a very dynamic lifestyle to live, but you can have control over that lifestyle, at least control the controllables. Like, obviously there's a lot of incontrollables, but you can control the controllables.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, you got to plan. It's kind of like the martial arts school owner that, Halloween's coming up and it's like a week before, and they're like, "Oh my god, we didn't plan any Halloween events. Like, what are we gonna do?" Right? Or like, we don't have a
Mm-hmm.
marketing plan for the holidays or summer or whatever. Like, you got to plan way in advance. Obviously, there are times where you could be like, "Ah, crap! Like, the day got ahead of me or something
Yeah, of
happened."
course.
So, what I like to have is I like to have like any sort of jerky. I feel like is good. Greek yogurt, because that really fills me up. I could eat like a pound of Greek yogurt at
Mm.
once. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so full. Is it like the most tastiest thing ever? No, definitely not. But I'll put like either fruit or some sort of like protein cereal or something in there. And that'll definitely keep me full for a really long
Yeah,
time.
that's great.
Um,
Yeah, you could put
or
some
dry
protein
fruit.
powder in there too and make like a little
Like,
pudding.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you tried
Yeah.
putting it in the microwave after you do that?
No,
It's not good.
I can't I
Don't
can
do it.
imagine. Yeah, hot
I think
dairy typically isn't.
I saw an Instagram video or something. Like, I'm gonna try it. It's like molten lava, chocolate, protein, and like I try. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Like, every once in a while, I will like. It goes in my feed, right? Like nutrition, health stuff
Hmm.
all the time. So like it'll be like healthy dinners, or healthy snacks, or healthy blah blah blah. And like my girlfriend and I will every once in a while go to our save folder, we'll make one. And I would say like 7 out of 10 times it's disgusting. Like it
It's a
looks
miss.
good on social media and you try it, it's like, this is
They got
not
the
it.
angles just right, and then
Yeah, the perfect
did not
lighting. It
hit.
looks like a chocolate chip cookie, but tastes absolutely nothing like it, right?
Tastes like cardboard.
Like yeah, it tastes like cardboard or just like hot foam or it's disgusting. Though we do make protein bagels. You ever make those?
No,
It's just like 3 ingredients. It's like Greek yogurt, flour, and I think egg, and like that's it. And
really.
we make them all the time. You wouldn't really notice that it's not. I mean, it's not as good as like a bakery,
Yeah.
delicious, northeast part of the country bagel, but it's like totally good enough. Those I love.
How much protein you? Because bagels actually have a decent amount of protein. Like you can get like 10 grams
Yeah,
of protein out of a bagel. How much
yeah.
protein you get out of that?
Good question. I'm not sure how much it is per bagel, but I mean it's made of Greek yogurt, so it's like
So
it's
it's
high, right? The
yeah,
Greek yogurt is like the main ingredient, so
yeah,
yeah, it's high.
yeah.
I always feel better
I'm a
eating.
big fan of Greek yogurt. Especially that you get like a good high fat Greek yogurt. Fruit, honey, some seeds. You can make smoothies with that. It's also a great sour cream replacement. Not that like
That blows my mind.
yeah.
That I've recently discovered that.
Oh really?
Like
Yeah.
for people who don't know, like if you put Greek yogurt on like a taco or like a burrito or like a Mexican dish bowl, like something you would put sour cream on and put Greek yogurt, it tastes like sour cream. I was like, when I first heard about it, I'm like, that's disgusting. And then when I did, I'm like, wow, like I actually wouldn't really even realize.
It's honestly better. Like I like the texture better. Like I like sour cream, and like I'm not a big believer in like good and bad food. So I'm not like Greek yogurt is not better for you than sour
Sure.
cream. It's just what's its purpose. So like if you're trying to get more protein in, or prioritize something that's a little more satiating or nutrient dense, then like yeah, Greek yogurt will probably be a better choice over sour cream. But like I kind of like the Greek yogurt and sour cream better over sour
So
cream. You know.
what do you put it on?
I mean, anything that you put sour cream on, like you said, Mexican bowls, potatoes. Like, what else do you put sour cream on? I guess that's really it, right? Like Mexican
Yeah, I
food
don't
or like a
know.
baked potato. But
Yeah. I haven't done a baked potato actually. That's a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah, it's good.
So let's say I'm a martial arts school owner, right? And I want to be able to help my students with their nutrition.
Hmm.
Maybe they're not fighters, maybe they're kids. Like, I don't know about you, but when I grew up in Philly with, I have 8 siblings. So I come
Oh
from an
wow.
enormous family. Yeah. So we didn't have sit down dinners at night. That was not like a
Hmm.
thing. It was kind of like fend for yourself, find some food somewhere and eat it, right? And like, I grew up eating mainly like Chef Boyardee out of a can, Stouffer's mac and cheese in the microwave. So if like I would say the only vegetables I got were the like the little peppers on top of like a Stouffer's like frozen pizza. Like that
Hmm.
was the extent of my vegetables. Hot microwave and hot dogs, cans of tuna. That's basically 90% of my diet. And
Wow.
as I got older, I discovered like real foods. I was like, wow, that stuff is actually disgusting. Besides tuna, I still like tuna. But I would never eat that again. So I guess like if I'm a martial arts school owner and I want to be able to help my younger students, my kids, they're not
Hmm.
fighters, but like I want to teach them how to eat a healthier lifestyle. Like what can I do?
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. The nutrition, but that you grew up on. But I think that's very common for a lot of people, especially in America. Unfortunately, that's the education, what people have access to, and it becomes generational, right? Like this is what my parents did. So like luckily you broke the cycle, and which is why like martial arts gym owners, I think, have a responsibility because they're influencing the lives and the minds of youths to break those cycles and teach good habits. So a couple things, right? Like for your younger students, I would say like younger than teenage students, like your children, there isn't really much you can do to influence them directly because they're not the ones putting food, like they're not making decisions with food, right? Their parents are doing that. So educating the parents and influencing the parents is going to be a really good way to help your kids out. Maybe you do like a Father's Day or a Mother's Day class and you turn parents into students, or you do some kind of fitness or nutrition challenge or weight loss challenge in your school to get parents involved and make it their thing too, not just their kids' thing. Or, while the kids are having class, maybe you have an assistant instructor teaching class and you're going through the lobby talking to your parents, and you see a parent eating something, and you plant seeds and you talk about nutrition. This goes back to living the lifestyle, right? Like if you're overweight or you're not eating healthy, like a parent's not gonna buy in. Like they're gonna see like, oh, this guy's jacked, or this guy takes really good care of himself and prioritizes health. And Jim Rohn has the quote, like, we're the sum of the six people that we spend the most time to. So if these parents are sitting in a lobby, not all parents watch their kids, a lot of them drop them off, but the parents that are watching their kids, they're there 2-3 times a week. They're around you quite a bit. Those are a lot of touch points to just slowly influence, and you have good retention over years. Like it's going to seep in with your teenagers, the guys that are a little bit older and the girls that are a little bit older. Again, it comes from being a really good role model. What my gym owner, he's like my second father. I've been with him since I was 5, and I still talk to him pretty much every single day. He's been a massive influence on my life. But one thing that he did really well was be a role model that I wanted to be like, right? I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be in great shape. He lived this lifestyle that I wanted to be. So when he talked about eating right foods, like at the end of the class, he would huddle us up and he would talk about nutrition and talk about eating healthy and fueling yourself and not eating garbage and not eating sugary snacks, and like I'm just laying this really strong foundation. And so I bought into what he was saying because I wanted to be like. He was a good role model, and he was doing it himself. So that's something that we would do too. Like especially like with our teenage boys, they wanted to be really healthy and they wanted to be strong and jacked, but to the point where like they wouldn't eat enough. So we would be like, bro, you gotta eat. Like you're working out all the time and you're training and you're lifting and you're doing all this shit. Like you gotta fucking eat. You gotta fuel your body. So huddling up, talking at the end of class is going to be really important, but making sure you're living the lifestyle as well, and while you're educating those kids and just influencing and laying the seeds over time is going to be a really big benefit for them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's no better way to lead than lead by example,
Mm-hmm.
right? People just see it. If like you don't have to tell them if they just see it, right? It goes unspoken. One of the things we like to do, we've done this a lot, and it's really fun, is we'll do like nutrition challenges with our
Mm-hmm.
students, and really, really simple. So we'll do something like they can earn a little patch for their uniform, and one of them will say like smoothie, or one of them will say veggie challenge or fruit challenge. And it'll be like, okay, for one of them is like the smoothie challenge. It'll be like, you want to make a smoothie with all fruits or vegetables, and with like at least 3 ingredients for 3 days in a row, right? Not to say you can only put fruits or vegetables, but like it has to be at least 3 fruits or vegetables, and like have them just try it out at home, like experiment on it, right? And then we'll have them take pictures, put on social media so other people see it. And then if they do that for like 3 days in a row, then they get like a patch for their uniform. Or we'll
It's
have them
awesome.
do like a protein challenge where like their goal is to eat like 50 grams of protein per day. And like for kids, that could be a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I forget what the number is, but some sort of number we do. And then that way they actually have to look at the nutrition label and like add it up and like keep it really, really simple, but really fun for them. One of them is like the rainbow challenge where it's like they need to take a picture of their plate that has at least 5 colors on, right? And not like
Yeah.
ketchup can't be a color, but it's got to be like a whole food, right?
Yeah.
That way they get to try different, orange peppers, and stuff like that. So we like to do that where they can earn a little patch and put it on social media so other people see it, and we'll post their picture on the TV in the school and like through a slideshow, so
That's
it'll
cool.
inspire other kids. But really simple, really easy. It doesn't require almost no effort for us besides buying some patches, but the kids really like it, and then we'll have the instructors do the challenge too and post
Mm-hmm.
it on social media so the kids see it, so they see, okay, they're leading by example here too.
Yeah, that's a
um
really great idea. That can be really helpful for retention too. Like, the kids want to keep coming to class. They see their picture up. They want to be engaged with the school. The parents are now like, wow, like this is really beneficial. This is not just like we're taking our kid to soccer. Like our kid wants to eat healthier. This is great. So that's a really great idea. I like that.
yeah, thanks. So I'm going to ask, I guess, some other questions that I think are important that martial arts school owners are going to think about. So like is there like a recovery hack that you feel like martial artists don't use enough, but if they did, it would dramatically improve their training results?
Yeah. Yeah, days off.
Days off, like full
Yeah,
days off.
yeah, full days off.
So how often do you feel like a full day off
Once a
is
week.
important? Once a week. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
once a
what
week.
about active recovery days, like walking or I don't know, playing a sport or something that's not super intense? Does that count as a day off or
No,
no?
no, that's an active recovery day. Yeah.
Active recovery day.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
tell
you're
my guys like the only exercise I want you to do is an accidental sit up when you're getting up from the couch to grab some water. Like your
so you actually
body.
just want them to sit around all day.
Yeah, I mean you can go on a walk, but like a walk isn't like anything. Yeah, I want you to chill, bro. Like chill the
Yeah.
fuck out. Like
Yeah, yeah.
especially fighters like when I was working at Temple with their Olympic sports department, the strength and conditioning department, we worked with lots of teams from rowing to football to basketball. We were all over, male and female teams, and a lot of the times we had to spend a lot of energy getting the athletes to do the work. Like don't go party on the weekends. Like don't be late to training. Like get your sessions in, don't skip practice. We had to really like put effort in to get them to actually show up. Combat athletes, martial artists, it's the reverse, right? They don't have a problem training. They love training. They're addicted to training to a
Mhm.
point where it's an unhealthy relationship with training, where they're depressed if they don't train and they're anxious about their opponents doing more than them if they do train. So I was there. Like it's not fun, and I still seeps in sometimes, and I have to check myself because that's I've been doing this my entire life. So yeah, a lot of times like, bro, you'll be fine. Like take a day off and do absolutely nothing today. It's not just for their body, but it's for their mind too. It's for their quality of life. Like if you're constantly living in this place of like pain or fear or anxiousness, like at the end of the day, why do we do this sport? Because we love it, right? We love it. We're not doing it to win. We're not doing it for a belt. We're not doing it for a contract. We think that's why we're doing it. But if you're focusing on that outcome, it's going to suck all the joy out of life. We do it because we love it. So if the actions of the day to day are now taking the joy and love out of what you're doing and what you're loving, what's the fucking point of doing it? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So we need to
Right.
retrain our brain with we need to retrain the why. We have to understand. And it's tough, man. Like I have a title fight in February. It's challenging not to think about the belt. At the end of the day, I don't really care that much about the belt. It is what it is. Like it's not really going to change my life at all. It's not going to change what people think about me at all. But once there's an outcome, it changes our relationship with what we're doing. So a lot of this camp has been just being in the moment and being present and being grateful for my opponent, being grateful for my training partners, and being grateful for the ability to get better. And rest days are needed for that. Like if you're just burning yourself out all the time, you're going to hate what you're doing even more and your body's going to break.
Yeah, I definitely do not do that. So I should. Like
Yeah.
even on like a Sunday, I'm like, all right, Sunday I'll just relax. I'll like do core, but I'm still lifting with my core and I'll do like, I don't know, play pickleball or go for a really long walk. I'll go for a 7 mile walk or something.
Why do
Right.
you
So
why do you think that is? 'Cause you're not alone. Like why do you think you struggle to take days off?
I just I think like I think that if I take a day off, I feel lazy and I feel like I'm like a little bit anxious and I want
Mm,
to be active. Like I hate just sitting on the couch. It drives me crazy. Like I hate sitting on the beach for 6 hours.
mm,
Like it's not fun for me. I'll play a sport on the beach, but that to me that's not relaxing. Right? I need to
sure.
be doing something. So I think
Why
for
do you think
me,
that is? Like why do you feel like you have to be doing something or you can't just sit down and relax? Because just saying, well,
uh
it's just the way it is, right? Like there's a reason, right? Whether you've thought of it or not. So like why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, probably like, it's kind of in the genetics of my family, I would say, or maybe the
Mm,
culture of my family. Like we eat dinner and we go for a walk, right?
mm,
Like we're always, my mom is like 75 years old and gets 10,000 steps a day and does push-ups, right? Like my dad could do a 5 minute plank in his mid 70s. So I don't know. I just see like they're always moving and like they're
mm,
like really healthy for their age. And so I'm always like, okay, like I should be doing the same thing.
mm.
I should be I don't know. It's hard for me to sit still. This is hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. Maybe that's why. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not like a mental health specialist or like a
Yeah, yeah,
therapist or anything like that,
yeah.
so I can't. That there's a little bit deeper of a dig on things like that. My partner, she's the same way, where she has a very hard time sitting still. She wants to be active all the time, and do this. And I used to be the same way, right? Like I used to be the same way. Now I love my off days. Like
Yeah,
I can't get enough, and I think like your why it's happening, I don't know, but I think a good way to like first you have to have buy-in on like if you even want to make that change or why it's important to make that change. I think it's really
right.
beneficial for people because we need balance in everything. Like we can't have light without dark. Like if the sun was out every single day, you'd lose your gratitude for the sun. Like you can wake up in the morning and be grateful for the sun because it goes down at night. Just like you
Right.
can't appreciate music without silence, right? Like if all
Mm,
you heard was your favorite song every single day or you just constantly heard sound, then you're going to hate sound. So there needs to be that balance. If you're just active all of the time, it becomes an anxious driven thing. I can't just sit down. I can't just sit still, where it's like you appreciate the ability to move in the activity that you do because you allow yourself to chill, and vice versa, right? Like you can appreciate the chill because you spend so much time moving
sure,
and being active, right? So like
sure.
it's the yin and yang, it's the balance. Like everything in life is a frequency and a flow and a peak and a valley, and so we need balance in everything. So that why is really important. And then from there, it's just a simple reframe. Like you just change your relationship with off days. You change your relationship with downtime. Now it's not this thing that I have to do or this thing, well, I just can't sit still. Like that in itself is a limiting belief. Like saying you can't do anything, that's not true. Our
Good
brains
point.
can do anything. We just change it. All right. This is why I'm relaxing today. This is why I'm sitting still. Like with my guys, we train them like you're actually getting an edge over your competition by taking a day off, because you're not in a place of anxiety anymore. Like you're confident in what you're doing, you're confident in your plan, you're confident in your choices. It's not just random, this is strategic, this is part of the plan. So it gives them more confidence knowing like, no, this is part of the plan, this is just as important as my hard sparring days.
Mm.
Now
So,
I'm fueled and I can give it my all on my hard sparring days, right?
yeah, and thank you for saying that. And I feel like for me now personally, I'm like, all right, I gotta rework what I'm doing and maybe just take a day off, and also reformulate my workouts so that I feel like I don't need to squeeze it in that extra
Mm.
day. Um, so yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I guess
Yeah, of
my
course.
um, like I just have a couple of just like random questions that I'm
Go for it.
curious about. Like, uh, what is something that you saw that a fighter did that was kind of crazy to cut weight like last second? Like, have you ever seen something like, oh my god, I can't believe someone's doing this?
Yeah. Oh, too much bullshit, bro. Everything. Diuretics, dumb. That's just gonna kill your body. Um, a lot of guys. I was actually talking to an athlete the other day who was struggling with the weight cut. I was like, "What are you doing to cut weight?" And he's like, "I'm running every single day." Um, and a lot of guys do that like active approach to weight cutting, where they're doing a lot of activity to get the weight out because you sweat, right? And so like you're gonna lose water. But if we're in a depleted calorie state while we're exercising, like that's putting your body in a place where it can't recover. I would say the biggest things are like too much activity to cut weight, cutting carbs and calories too soon is another thing, and then relying on things like diuretics. Like those are probably the three biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to cutting weight.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what's the most surprising thing you've learned working with elite fighters?
Surprising. Hmm. Yeah, I think the most surprising thing, and yeah, I've been thinking about this actually recently because I've been I've been in this game my entire life, but I'm still young, right? I'm still 28, and I think for a 28-year-old, I've experienced quite a bit of life, but I still have a lot of life experience to gain. Like I don't have kids or I'm not married. Like there's still a lot of life challenges and adversity that is going to present itself to me. And so being even a younger coach, like I always knew mindset was important, but before you experience life adversity, it's kind of challenging to relate to an athlete and understand mindset until you actually start going through it. And now that I'm 28. I've experienced adversity and I've gone through things like everyone does. There's still a lot more to experience, but it allows you to connect and relate with athletes more. And one thing that I've realized that has surprised me is even the guys at the top of the game, the elite guys, the guys that are at the top of the UFC, the guys that are the champions, the guys that are crushing it, they struggle with the same doubts and fears and challenges mentally as guys that are young and new to the game. Like there are guys at the top of the game that will still leave training sessions and sit in their car and cry after a hard training session. Guys that have been doing it for decades, that have fought the who's who killers in the world, the most savage people on the planet, still struggle with the things up here because at the end of the day, everyone's human. Like that's everyone's human and struggles with the same thing. So we put these elite fighters on pedestals as like different or separate or better than or unattainable or unreachable, but they're just human. And what's really cool is when you understand that they are just human and they struggle with the same things that you and I struggle with, that means we can be a little bit more relatable to them and understand what they're going through a little bit better and understand their journey and appreciate and be grateful for what they do even more. But B, then it means that we can fucking do it. like
Right.
we have the ability to do it too. There's nothing different between me and him except he has the ability to stay consistent and believe in himself and still take action even when the belief is wavering or even when they're having the harder moments. And other people allow that adversity to cause them to quit and stop. And that goes through anything. It's not just fighting. Like anything that you want to achieve in life, whether it's you want to get a promotion at work or you want to have an incredible marriage or you just want to be a better son to your parents, like whatever you want to do in life, there's mental adversity that wants you to quit. And as long as you're able to consistently persevere, perseverance is huge. I say it all the time. It's kind of a joke, but it's true. I got perseverance on the side of a pen. To me, that's like the most important quality that a human can have because shit's going to get hard. Life is hard and it's varying in different degrees. Like this is an example that I use for our athletes. Like you might have one person, he's 16 and he's never had to struggle for anything in his life and he fucked up and his dad took his BMW away and that's the hardest thing that he's ever experienced. And then you had another person and their mother died, right? And they've experienced, that's the first time they're experienced death, but then loss of a very close loved one, and that's the hardest thing that they've ever experienced. And objectively you might look at both situations and be like, well, yeah, obviously this one, the guy that lost his mom, is going through it harder than the guy that got his BMW taken away. This is nothing. But relatively to them, like that's both the hardest things that person has ever gone through. So who are we to judge what someone's experiencing or what someone's going through? We have to come from a place of compassion and kindness, and especially with ourselves, we need to be compassionate and kind to ourselves and recognize like it's okay to feel this way. Like you're not always going to feel good, but that doesn't mean you can't achieve greatness while those feelings are there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's always the difference between the people that are newer, lower level versus the people that are elite are just the nonstop execution of the basics and consistency over and over and over. Even like as a martial arts school owner myself, I'll talk to martial arts school owners like, oh, well, I don't know if I could do this or I could do that. Like, oh, you've been doing this longer or you understand this part and I'll never figure that out or you have more charisma or whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, there's nothing special about me. I'm not like 10 times smarter than you. Maybe 5 times. I'm like, I'm not that much more charismatic, or I don't have that. Definitely not that much better martial arts, if any. Probably worse. Like it's just like I do the same things over and over and over again, right? Like and not every way. Like there's a lot of ways I mess up and I do things wrong, but we all kind of struggle with the same things. Like everyone who runs a martial arts school, like even if you have whether you have 1 location or 50 locations, like struggling with staff training. Like that's important for everyone. Like getting new students, like we all stress about the same things on different levels, but the same thing. So ruthless execution of the basics, and I feel like for you, that's the 4 steps of your fight science approach, which is fight science systems. What is it called? Fight science
Operating system.
Operating system. Sorry, yeah. Fight science operating system, which is it's not things you never heard of. It's not like, oh my god, I never knew recovery or sleep was good. Or I never knew I should eat healthy based on what my goal is, right? But like doing it is the hard part over and over and
Yeah.
over again. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming. Sorry.
Yeah, the consistency. You're welcome, Matt. Yeah, I appreciate you having me. It was a great time.
So how do people find you? Like tell us your Instagram, website, stuff like that.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Fight Science Collective. There's no the at Fight Science Collective on Instagram. You can find us online, stayonthemat.com. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. We have a decent amount of followers, but I'm always in the DMs. I make an effort to communicate to everyone that we talk with, whether you're trying to be a world champion and make a career out of fighting, or you just want to get the next belt on the mat and level up a little bit better and have more confidence in your day to day. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to see how we can help. If you're struggling with injury, you're struggling with cardio, nutrition, recovery, your mindset, we got a plan that can help you reach your greatest potential.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. And if you need help growing your martial arts school organically without spending money on ads or gambling money on ads, you don't know if you'll get a return. I'm one of the only coaches, at least I know, that offers actually a guarantee to get results or your money back. So if you want to learn how to get 30 students 60 days without running any ads through organic marketing, which is partnerships with your local schools and education centers and businesses in your area, send me a DM on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1 or visit wdojo.com and I can help you do it. Thanks so much, Adam.
Cool. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate you.